Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast. So today's Do More With Your Money podcast is focused on our monthly review. So this is everything to do with true potential as a business. So before I jump into the podcast, I'm just going to give you some stats. So those stats are money invested in November was £300 million. If we look at the number of impulse saves, so the amount of money that clients have invested through the app, through the Impulse Save app that we have, that's £16 million. If we look at total money invested as at the end of November on our platform, that is now north of £33 billion. And we have right now 561,000 clients. So before we go any further, on behalf of the committee who are sitting in front of you, we'd just like to say thank you for your support. But who are the committee that are sitting in front of you? I'm delighted to be joined by Di, by Esther, and by Faye. So, Faye, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. So, Faye, you're one of the analysts on the investment management team. So maybe just talk a little bit around what's been happening over the months. So maybe from a political perspective, obviously Donald Trump's first month as the president-elect. Could you maybe walk through what have been the key events?
Yeah, obviously, as you mentioned, the US election was really the main political event of the month, and that's kind of dominated asset markets. So what we've seen is really positive returns from global equities in the month of November following that. So up 5% global equities in November in sterling terms. And actually US equities have outperformed global equities. So US equities were up 7% in sterling terms. And you've also seen breadth across US equity markets as well. So you've seen, well, previously it was more sort of led by the US mega cap, the big 7 top stocks. Now we've actually seen small cap outperform as well. So quite broad returns. And I think if we think about Trump's policies, that kind of makes sense. If you think about tax cuts, deregulation, it's all very US positive, very US growth versus the rest of the world. So that's fed into the returns that we've seen over the month of November.
Excellent. And you mentioned a little bit around Trump's policies there and how they've affected assets overall. There's a term that's going around right now, which is called a Trump trade. Maybe what could happen with tariffs. Just give us a little bit more on that.
Yeah, sure. So with the tariffs, you might see higher prices come through, potential for a moderate pickup in inflation as well, and also potentially less interest rate cuts coming through from the US central bank as well, and that would really favour assets such as the US dollar. So we've seen the US dollar very strong, and also less favourable for assets like US Treasuries, just given higher interest rates for longer.
Okay, excellent. And then, obviously you've painted what's quite a good picture actually for asset markets for November. How's that then fed into the True Potential portfolio proposition?
Yeah, of course. So all the True Potential portfolios have good exposure to equity markets into the US. But if we think about the different portfolios, the aggressive portfolio and the plus portfolios would have more of that equity and US equity exposure. So we've seen those be the strongest performers, but actually all portfolios were positive over the month as well. Best performer, as I say, was aggressive, just given that large weight to equities and especially US equities within that as well. And then the plus portfolios, for the same reason as well, have performed really well.
And just for the aggressive portfolio, you talked about a large weight to equity, and within that a large weight to US equities. Do you have the numbers behind that?
Yeah, of course. So aggressive was up about 4.1% over November. That would have about sort of 80-90% in equities. The balanced portfolio would be more about sort of 60% in equities. So that's a bit of a difference there.
Excellent. Thank you, Faye. So Esther, maybe over to you. So it's been quite an exciting time for us here at True Potential in respect of awards. So I attended an awards ceremony. It was at the Natural History Museum about a week and a half ago. Esther, do you want to talk about the awards that we've won?
Yes, absolutely. It was, from all accounts, a fantastic night.
It was a very good night, yeah.
The FT Advisor Awards are voted for by advisors, and this just continues our record-breaking streak of how many awards we've won this year. And I think what's great about this is we've also achieved the Outstanding Achievement Award, which we are displaying proudly on our podcast table today. But we're ranked 5-star in 5 different categories, which is, things like the discretionary fund manager, platform provider, back office support. So it was a great testament to our platform staff who work, day in, day out really hard to make sure that, the True Potential Investments is an award-winning company.
Yeah, and sorry, Chris, I was just going to say, when you look at the awards themselves, when the advisor's saying, they're publicly showing their support for the solution that they're using, that's a lot to be said in the industry. And we also got the Europe's Long-Term Growth Champion Award. Amazing. And while that is a bit of a mouthful, it's actually, when you think of how long we've been long-standing or not, I think when you look at the industry, there are big names that you know of that are investment houses. And I think True Potential, we've still got a long way to go, but we're being voted for Europe's Long-Term Growth Award because we do, year after year, we turn over these awards. We actually put a lot of thought into the awards that I suppose, I don't know whether do you apply for an award? Do you I'm assuming that you have to go into it to say, this is why I think that we could be in that category or not. And just to come away with them it's amazing.
It's interesting, actually. You were talking about kind of long-term growth there. And, I've been at True Potential for 9 years. I know that Esther and Di, you've been here even longer than I have. But one of the stats that I gave at the start was £33 billion on the platform. Yeah. And I actually remember the first email which came from one of the senior partners, Mark Henderson, to say that we had £1 billion on the platform. And it's just incredible that level of growth that we've seen overall. The business has done really well. And I think the reason for that is because we've given good client outcomes overall.
Yeah, that's what we look for. We always start and end with the client, and we always have the technology that we use, the developments that we look at, the features. Some of the feature requests come from clients and advisors. There's not just a team of people sat thinking about the next big thing, where we're going to go and what we're going to do. Yeah. Yes, some of it's regulatory, but a lot of it comes from the client experience and making sure that the client knows and understands exactly what they're going to get from being a True Potential client.
Excellent. So moving away from investment, True Potential, and moving towards something that might be as a surprise for some of the listeners is Monopoly. Esther.
Yes. So you might be thinking, why are we talking about Monopoly on this podcast? But there is a new version of Monopoly. It's the Newcastle and Gateshead version. So first new release in 23 years. Mm-hmm. And again, I know you're thinking why we're talking about this, but I'm about to reveal, because here is one that I prepared earlier. True Potential is on this version.
Fantastic.
So we're really proud of this. I think it's just, a bit of fun, but it's great because it's got, all of the regional landmarks, all of the main landmarks around Newcastle and Gateshead. But I think it also sort of goes into the on-the-money education that we like to do as a company. We've got a lot of advisors that go into schools and work with kids, just, to really start at a young age to, encourage that financial knowledge. And Monopoly is often a first game that a child's going to play that involves money. So we thought we'll get involved, we'll be part of the Newcastle board. So here it is. And it is available if anyone would like to buy it.
Brilliant. I've actually got a story about Monopoly. So when I was a kid, I used to play Monopoly with my mum. And I didn't realise this, but she used to let me win. So I thought I was a Monopoly This is a true story. I thought I was a Monopoly champion. And then I remember I played it with my first girlfriend, and she won. And I got really angry because I couldn't understand why I didn't win. I don't know if that's worth sharing or not.
It's one of those games, though, isn't it? I'm not competitive at all until I play Monopoly, and then sometimes it just
definitely
takes over.
Yes.
So, Di, just from a technology perspective, all of our technology is in-house, which is, I think, a real differentiator compared to other firms in the marketplace, other investment firms in the marketplace, but just maybe some of the things that you've been thinking about over recent months.
So if we stay on the game theme, then it just seems quite apt. We had the conferences in Manchester and London in October, and what we demoed at the time, it hadn't been released, it has since been released, was the Apple Vision Pro headset. Now, a lot of people were saying, they'd come over and say, but do you think it's going to take off? Do you think it's just a gimmick? And I don't. I think when you look at technology now, we've gone as big as we could with mobile phones, as small as we could with mobile phones, and it feels like there's now that sweet spot between your mobile technology, so your iPads, your Galaxies, and your mobile devices. If you look at what's next, it has to be wearable. So maybe screens on arms, but I think the first place people go is gaming. So what we did is we looked at the Vision Pro headsets and we developed the True Potential app to sit within the headset. So if somebody is using it for something, say they're using it with their kids and they've got a client on the phone, they can actually use the headset to look at the client information, they can open documents, they can talk a client through. And we did that just to show the use of technology, because technology is not going to slow down now. It's only going to become more prevalent in people's lives. And while that might not take off in a huge way, it probably is, from my point of view, I think it's probably going to be a prototype in terms of where people will go with wearable technology. So that was the fun stuff. And then
It's interesting, isn't it, when you think, I remember when smartphones came out, and at the time there was a big push to have the smallest phone. And then suddenly you had a smartphone, which was this massive thing. I remember people saying like, well, I like it, but I'm not 100% sure if it'll catch on. And you're right, technology moves so quickly that things change. So some of the things that may seem a little bit odd to us now, and I'll be totally honest, wearing like a virtual reality headset feels a bit odd to me. Will that be odd in 10 years' time, 20 years' time? Well, we'll see, but technology moves so quickly.
We want people to be able to make use of the technology in a way that benefits them and their clients. And if clients are going to be wearing headsets, then we want the advisor base to be able to actually move along with the clients in the technology area that they're dealing in. So, and then we've done a couple of other things. I suppose the smaller developments that sit behind the scenes. So we'll try and assist the advisors where we can, and things for clients. So we're using intents on the website. So if a client types something in, disbursements, withdrawals, anything like that, the system will try and understand what it is that they're asking for. So they're not having to click around by a million clicks to establish something. Again, we want to make it as easy as we possibly can, not have that sludge feel when you're so annoyed that you can't get what you want, that you kind of give up. We don't want that. We want to be the opposite. We want them to understand and know where the information is at any point in time. So again, they're probably not things that people would notice up front, but we're constantly looking at new ways to improve the solution and what we offer.
So it's all about the client experience.
Without a doubt.
All about the client, trying to give the client the very best experience that they can have with True Potential as a business.
Yeah, even if that is looking a bit silly wearing a headset.
Excellent. So just move on to the final part of the podcast, which is all about charity. Esther, do you want to talk through this month's charity and the things that we've been doing?
Yes, absolutely. So obviously charity is fundamental to True Potential. It always has been. It's always been a big focus of the business. And the way we select our charities is it's either nominated by a member of staff, an advisor or a client. So it's always got that personal connection. And I think, Cash for Kids, the charity that we're supporting this month, is no different to that. And I think the reason why we particularly love to support it this time of year is because its mission for the festive period is to make sure that no child wakes up on the 25th of December without a present. So it really helps those families who are in a poorer financial situation. And that's all across the northeast of England, and it goes up to the age of 18, so it does cover so many people. And I think I wrote some stats down because I was worried that I would forget the numbers, but actually when you look at how many people the charity help, so in 2023 23.7 million was raised, and that helped over 500,000 children.
Fantastic.
So it's amazing for us that we can play just even a small part in that, in something that we probably all take for granted, and just waking up, on the 25th of December with a present under the tree. So we're doing this in a number of ways throughout the company. I think you've all have been involved by now. So we've supported this charity now for 6 years consecutively, and we're hoping, our long-term goal is to raise 100,000 for Cash for Kids. So by doing all of the initiatives that we've got in head office this year, we're hoping that's going to make a big leap into reaching that goal. So I'll talk through some of the efforts that we're doing at head office. So the first thing that we're doing is we are a collection point for the Cash for Kids charity. So anybody who wants to leave a gift, they can drop it off at our head office. So, for anybody listening who's local, please by all means come and say hello to us at head office and drop in a gift. So we've got the tray up at reception with the presents underneath, and then we also have a pop-up fireplace. So, it's not a real one, not to, I know nobody needs to call it a fire marshal. But basically it's got stockings on so that you can pick your stocking, and it's got a suggested gift to buy for a child in the different age brackets with the suggested gifts that Cash for Kids have sort of encouraged people to buy. And also, linking back to Monopoly, we have released a link to staff, and that is a discounted code. So if anybody in our staff base have bought Monopoly, the proceeds go directly to Cash for Kids.
Excellent. Well, no, that's fantastic to hear all the incredible effort that the whole of the staff are doing here at True Potential. So that's everything for today. Thank you so much for listening today. Now, you've heard about the incredible results that we've seen through True Potential. Delighted to say that is being recognised, the awards that have come through, and particularly the charity work that both us in this room, but the whole of the staff of True Potential are part of overall. Please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see all of our True Potential videos, so morning markets, podcasts, every single thing that we do. And we all look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.
This video is not a recommendation or personal financial advice. With investing, your capital is at risk. Investments can fluctuate in value, and you may get back less than you invest.